Suicide Squad has arrived. And boy, did this film have a lot resting on its shoulders after Batman vs Superman. Pressure or not, and to make it even worse, the director, David Ayer, only had 6 weeks to come up with a script for this film. Now, there were rumours behind the scenes, before we even get to anything else, that this film was in trouble, that there was editing problems, that the officials, the marketing directors at Warner Brothers wouldn't leave the director and his staff alone. They kept sticking their noses in and not altering things. So this film has finally come out, and a lot of fans were worried. The trailers looked fantastic. And I saw the film this weekend, and I've got to say the film is really, really good. I had a load of fun with this film, but it does have problems. It's starting to sound repetitive because I keep saying this about DC films. Batman vs Superman was the same, and it's got the same problems. Suicide Squad is fantastically acted. All the actors in this film are amazing. All of them. The actual squad itself is incredible and so much fun to ride along with on this journey. And their first film out should have been so much better. There's so much potential there for this group. And they're fun. Now, it was said that Warner Brothers injected humour into it after the criticisms from Batman vs Superman was too dark and dour. Yeah, okay, you can watch this film and you can see where perhaps the humour has been sort of forced in. There's a couple of one-liners, or a couple of scenes that perhaps don't feel quite right, feel a little bit jarring. Not too much, but just a little bit. But it does make the film more fun. However, as I say, it does have problems. The villain, the bad guy, as with Batman vs Superman, is terrible. The opening 10-15 minutes where you're introduced to the squad and you get like a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes flashback to how each one of them was caught, and Batman makes a cameo, the Flash makes a cameo, and for each one of the villains you get a modern day song shoved into it. It's like a music video for each one of them. So for the first 10-15 minutes you're hit with this constant barrage of songs that you know because they're so popular and so famous, but it's jarring. You need the intro for these characters because they are a team of supervillains. Well, I say supervillains, they're a team of villains from the DC world. So you need to know who they are. A lot of people won't know who these people are if they don't follow the comic books. So you need to have some form of flashback, some form of reading so you know who these people are. That was important, and that was done very well. But what I didn't like, as I say, is the music. For each one of the characters, it's like they've got their own intro theme, and that wasn't necessary, and it's very jarring. And that sort of music happens throughout the entire film. It isn't just with the intros for the characters. All the way through the film, every now and then for certain scenes, you'll get blasted with this song out of nowhere. And it just feels really weird and off-putting, or at least it did to me. Will Smith is fantastic as Deadshot in this film. Floyd Lawton you might have seen him on the Flash TV show. So you'll be sort of familiar with the character from there. But if you haven't, they do a good job of reading you in on Deadshot's background and his character. And Will Smith is fantastic in this film. He oozes charisma, and as one of the two biggest characters in this film, it really is Deadshot and Harley Quinn's film. Above all else, even the Joker is like shoved to the wayside and only appears like 4 or 5 times. But it's Deadshot and Harley Quinn's film, and Will Smith is fantastic. Equally, Margot Robbie nails it. She knocks it out of the park as Harley Quinn. If you're familiar with Harley Quinn at all, from the animated cartoons perhaps, from the comic books, even from the computer games, the Batman computer games, she has brought that character to life on the big screen. She's nailed it. The tone of voice, her actions, the way she looks, the way she moves, everything about her is just perfect as Harley Quinn. And you get a snippet of background, how she turned from like a psychoanalyst, psychologist in a prison, the Joker slowly worked on her and turned her into Harley Quinn. But equally in this film, you also see how Harley worked on the Joker. Now, I am a Batman fan, and I've read a lot of cartoons, a lot of comics with the Joker and Harley Quinn in it. And to my mind, at least, Harley was always in love with the Joker. 100% head over heels in love. And that is equally shown in this film. But in the comics, the Joker, you don't always feel that her love is reciprocated by him. That he has an attachment to her, but because he's so crazy and psychotic, it's not what you might call love. It's like owning a really nice pet, your favourite pet, a dog or a cat or something, and you like having them around and they make you feel good, and that's fine. But if something happens to them, well, it's sad for a second, that you move on with your life. That's almost how it comes across in the comics. But in the film, they've done it in such a way that you actually see that Harley has made the Joker fall in love with her. And he risks his life a number of times in the film to help her out. Jared Leto's Joker was always going to be one of those things which had perhaps divided the fans. A lot of people are Heath Ledger fans. I am one of them. I think he is the best Joker ever. But you've got Jack Nicholson fans out there who loved him as the Joker from Tim Burton's original Batman film. Jared Leto has taken a slightly different twist because he comes over more as a mob boss. Yeah, at times you can almost feel him channeling Heath Ledger, the tone of voice, and the way he looks and the mannerisms. Sometimes they're almost mirrored to Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight. But equally, this film has shown him as a guy who is making deals with other mobsters and other gangsters, and he runs the underworld. And you actually see this. He's in a nightclub and surrounded by bodyguards, and it's almost like Scarface meets the Joker. The way he dresses, the way he acts, it almost is that. That's going to appeal to a lot of people. To me, it didn't really hit home. I didn't know how Jared Leto was going to come over with this. Like I say, I love Heath Ledger, and unfortunately, although he is a good Joker, and he is a scary Joker, I have no doubts about it, he is. But I perhaps need to see him in his own film. Then I would have perhaps a more solid grasp on it. But for right now, it didn't really hit the mark for me. But other members of the Suicide Squad are fantastic. Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang has had a bit of a rocky history recently with his movie roles, especially after Terminator Genisys. But in this one, as Captain Boomerang, he was okay. He was fun. The guy who plays Diablo is fantastic, and his story is also very heartwarming and heart-wrenching at times when you see what that guy went through. And that's the thing with this film. Suicide Squad is made up of criminals. They are all criminals. They are all bad guys. As Will Smith says when they're sitting in the bar having a drink, they're the bad guys. But not long after, in fact, possibly even never, because the film never really portrays them as being that bad. You're behind them all the way through it. So you lose the edge. You lose the edge that these are bad guys who've done evil things, and now they're being sent on this mission where they're probably going to die. So it's a bit like The Dirty Dozen. But whereas in The Dirty Dozen, that film, you knew these guys are bad. You could see it, that when they're in their prison cells and the guy goes in to recruit them and he reads out what they've done. They are bad guys. And you feel the edge when they go on this mission, what they do, what they talk about, how they talk, how they act, how there's that feeling that, they could betray each other at any point. Whereas in Suicide Squad, although they try and inject that doubt, that at any point any of them will try and escape, And Captain Boomerang is the main one where they try and inflect that on him, that he's not going to be there, he's going to betray them, or he's going to run away or whatever. You never really believe it. You always know that they're going to stick together and they're going to fight their way through and they're going to win the day. So that edge is gone almost from the beginning. So they're not really a band of criminals. To you, they're just a band of people, good guys, who are there to save the day. And they make you laugh, they make you smile, and you like them. And I don't know, I think it would have been better if it would have been a darker film, slightly more gritty, perhaps, so you didn't like them so much. You would have added that edge in there that would have made it different and better. But Warner Brothers was so scared after Batman vs Superman, and everyone's saying how dark and gritty that was, that it was too much, that they've now swung the other way, and they've put a lot of humour in this film. Now, as I said, that makes it a lot of fun. It is a very fun movie, and I had a great time with it. But it missed some things. The editing was a little bit out, the script is pretty poor and lame, the bad guy is terrible, and equally, this team has been put together, as it's described at the beginning by Amanda Waller. She formed this team in case the next Superman that comes to Earth isn't a good guy, but is a bad guy. She wants to be able to have a team that she can send up against them. Well, okay, let's think about that. Superman, if he had been a bad guy and this crew, this squad, was sent against him, they wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes. None of them have any powers or any skills that could hurt Superman. Deadshot's a sniper. Killer Croc is just a big guy with a skin disease. Diablo can shoot flames, fine. Captain Boomerang has razor-sharp boomerangs. Katana has a sword. Now that might be the one and only thing that might hurt Superman. We don't know much about her sword. We know it steals souls from everyone that she kills, so that might affect Superman. But Harley Quinn, she's just a normal girl with a bat, you know. So none of these people on this squad could ever even slow down Superman. He'd just kill them all off in a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds, if it got to that. So that whole premise is totally undermined straight from the get-go. Equally, Amanda Waller turns out to be just as evil as the people she's recruited into this squad. At one point, towards the end of the film, she kills, in cold blood, 3 or 4 people in her operations room for no other reason than they weren't read in on the mission's parameters. They had found out too much, and before she left the control room to get saved by the squad, she killed all of her people. You know, just normal, innocent people who had families, loved ones, whatever. She just shot them. You know, no big thing. And the annoying thing is, Rick Flag, who's played by Joel Kinnaman, who is like a Delta Force Special Operations Captain, Major, whatever the hell he is standing there watching her do it. And although he's given Deadshot and some of the others in this squad a really hard time about being murderers and killers for hire and that sort of thing, he just stands there and watches Amanda Waller kill all these innocent people. He's fine with it. And he just goes along with her and walks out of the room and, yep, that's okay, that's fine. No, you can't build up. You can't build up Flag's character to be this good guy who gives all the bad guys all this shit about what they do, but he's happy to let his boss kill innocents right in front of him and not do anything to stop her, and not even say after the act that, you know, you really shouldn't have done that, boss. He just goes along with it and, yeah, okay, whatever. So that's where the writing fails. The bad guy, the Enchantress, is pretty weak. I mean, if she was as powerful as they made her out to be in this film, again, the Suicide Squad wouldn't have stood a chance against her. She does this weird, when she's at the end and they walk into the big room where she's at, she's doing this weird dancing, which has been mentioned in many reviews, and I'm sure you've heard it talked about before, and it just looks weird, outlandish, and totally stupid, to be honest. She manages to bring her brother back from where he was trapped in the same sort of ancient idol or doll that she was in before she got released. And she steals it out of Amanda Waller's apartment or house or office or whatever. And yet Amanda Waller doesn't notice that this other idol has gone missing. It was a little bit weird. And equally, he's just a big CGI lumbering monster. He's got this really weird sort of tentacle attack thing that he does against the army helicopters and vehicles and whatever. And that's a little bit off-putting because you're never entirely sure what this tentacle is or where it comes from. And it looks really pink and, yeah, it's weird. But he gets taken out pretty easily in the end by just a normal bomb. There was just so many missed opportunities with such a colourful group of people. They could have done so much more with this film and given them all slightly more to do. But because they gave so much time to Will Smith and Margot Robbie, the rest of the characters did suffer a little bit. Now, if they do another film, that might change. But I would really love to see a Joker Harley Quinn film. Perhaps that will be what the next Batman's going to be. We don't know. That might be it. But that would work. Equally, you know, bring back Suicide Squad, do another one, but give them a mission that their powers and their talents would be equal to. They shouldn't have succeeded in this mission. They really shouldn't. And the bad guy's plan, I'm going to build a machine that's going to destroy the world, then I'm going to rule it. Well, okay, first of all, you don't really see any machine. All you see is a lot of flashy lights and this column of light that goes up into the sky and causes a swirling trash field around it, which we've seen in Apocalypse, we've seen in Ghostbusters, we've seen God knows how many other movies. So that felt old. Because as I said, she's supposed to be this powerful enchantress that can do all this crap, take over people's bodies and all this sort of shit. And she gets taken down by Harley Quinn because she gets fooled into thinking that Harley's actually coming over to her side. I mean, that just felt lame. I mean, that just felt stupid. This creature's been around for 6,000 years or however long she's been around. She gets taken down by that. I mean, that was just not good. Currently, after its opening weekend, it's done over 160 million. So that's a fantastic opening weekend. And as I say, a lot of reviews, although they've been negative to middling, the fans have really liked it. And even the people who didn't like it have said that the Suicide Squad themselves are a lot of fun. And that's my feelings. The film is a fun film. You go along, you ride with the squad, you have fun, you have a bit of a laugh. You know, you watch Harley Quinn playing off of Will Smith's Deadshot, and that's fun to watch them two going together. You see a little bit of the new Joker. So yeah, it's definitely not as bad as Batman vs Superman, but it does suffer from some of the similar problems that it had. Bad script, bad editing, are the main ones in it. And equally, if the Warner Brothers executives just keep their noses out of it and let David Ayer direct and make the film that he wanted to do and give him more time to come up with a script. I mean, 6 weeks. My God, that's nothing. But anyway, fantastic opening. The question's going to be, the litmus test is going to be, will it carry over to its second week? Now, for Batman vs Superman, that's where that film failed. It had a fantastic, amazingly big opening weekend because everyone was curious, but it was so bad that nobody went back. So its second weekend, it had a record-breaking decline on take-ins. I don't think that's going to happen with Suicide Squad because it's a better film. So I think it will hold up the second weekend, but the question's going to be, it's going to decline somewhat, so just how much of a drop in box office take-ins will it have this weekend coming? We'll have to wait and see for that one. But hopefully it'll do okay. Like I said, I'd like to see a new one. It's definitely a step in the right direction for Warner Brothers and DC. So we'll see how it gets on. Hoping, as I say, I hope it does enough to get a sequel because I want to see another Suicide Squad. And like I say, I hope they will this time do a plot that they can actually allow all of the team to actually take a reasonable part in and actually be meaningful. Because let's face it, Captain Boomerang wasn't going to stand up against the Enchantress. You know, Harley Quinn wasn't going to fight against the Enchantress. You know, even though she lucked out and sucker punched the Enchantress in the end to win the day. But on a one-to-one fight, she wouldn't have stood a chance. In fact, none of them really would have. But anyway, that's it. Go and see it if you haven't seen it. It's a fantastic film. It's a fantastic film in that it's fun. You'll have fun. Okay. Is it worth a watching again? No, not really. Go and have fun with it this time and wait for it to come out on DVD or Blu-ray. But I would advise anyone who's on the fence to go and watch it, purely for the laughs that you get out of it. And some of the music's okay, but as I say, they do barrage you with constant songs over and over again. That is not good. That's a bad thing. Thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share it on your Facebook or subscribe to my YouTube channel. You guys take care, and I'll see you for the next one.